dynamic,
creative,
empowering,
transparent,
compassionate,
flexible,
curious,
creative,
flexible,
intuitive,
collaborative,
intentional,
laid back,
and honest.
compassionate,
Relaxed,
flexible,
compassionate,
prepared,
humorous.
honest.
It's better for me to start off by saying what leadership means to me. First and foremost, I lead with my heart. I lead with love. I lead from the center. My role as an educator is to guide and enhance the lives of those I serve, to enrich the lives on the planet and of the planet. Yeah.
I think my leadership is, at its core, improvised. I don't think I'm someone who makes a lot of thought-out decisions in my leadership, but it also allows me to be a little flexible. And I try to lead creatively and sort of not follow a set guideline of normativity, and have some perspective that allows me to distance myself from sort of the hierarchical templates of leadership that I grew up with.
I just try to be myself and be assertive when I have to be. I try to, encourage others to do things for themselves first. So like empower them to do what they can do. And I also try to honor, skills that people have.
I think that preparation is a form of leadership, not just because you're modeling a way of directing a conversation, but because you become the figure who is invested in what you're doing.
I think I model what I always wanted as an undergraduate student. So that coming to Wellesley, I was like, this is magical. Like, this is the kind of place that I wish existed in Canada. And so I always kind of put myself in the role of my old self in some ways, right? And I think, like, how would I have wanted to have been directed or pushed in particular directions? And then that's what I do with my students.
I think my role is really to scaffold students into developing their own leadership abilities. I think a lot of people think they know what leadership is, and it's not necessarily leadership. And a lot of people who think they are not leaders are actually really, really excellent leaders. They just need that thought out.
I was talking with a rabbi the other day. My dominant question, the question I ask any religious leader is well, how do you have faith in your own leadership, and also in, you're telling all these people to believe in this thing. How do you stay faithful, and how do you stay confident in your leadership? And he was like, well, I don't. I wake up every day and I just have no idea what I'm going to do or how I'm going to be a leader that day. And then I interact with my community and I talk with people and I hear what they're worried about and what they need guidance on. And then I become the leader they need on that day. And I think that that's not the leader I am yet, but it's the leader I'd like to be.
One is Oscar Lucania. He was previously director of the Youth and Government YMCA program at my local YMCA back home in Los Angeles at the East Valley Family YMCA. I felt like I could connect to him culturally, but I also felt like he was invested in his community. I do feel that 24/7 you have to live your values, even if 24/7 you're not working towards the cause.
My parents, the ways in which they have loved and cared for us, my siblings and I, They've always given their best, which brought out the best in us. So, and by best, I mean their truth. So they would have shared their truths with us to cultivate our sense of self and purpose. You would call my parents servant leaders, very non-discriminatory. And it's not something that they imposed, but something that was naturally cultivated and nurtured. Yeah.
Thinking about my research, which is on remote communities all over the world, and especially island communities, seeing how these people really organize their existence in very remote, very isolated places, you know, like we're talking islands that have like 10 people, and how they can carve out an existence literally at the edge of the world. Maybe that sounds weird, but I see that as a way of leadership in some ways, that they're leading that community, right? And it's not like there's a mayor or, you know, the prince or whatever of the village, but it's like they're all working together to get to this common goal of making things work, right? And that's another thing I'm really interested in, this kind of improvisational discussion. Like, how do we improvise our everyday life?
I think I've had more experience over time. I don't know, some people say sometimes you can be a natural leader, but I know that I've been more thoughtful in how I approach situations, and I'm still working on it. You know, I think that's leading or becoming a good leader, something you always should probably continue to work on. So I don't think it's really changed so much as that I have changed or just matured.
I think as a young teacher, I thought if I prepared, what was happening in class wouldn't be as spontaneous, or I would be too rigid in the way but those things are not, to prepare isn't to determine. And I recognized that really for myself, that kind of preparation allowed me to set a tone, to be able to move back and forth between different ideas. And it's only probably in the last 5 years that I've recognized how crucial that is to my idea of what it is to be a leader.
I think I have gotten much better at soliciting and listening to what I call the question in the back of the room. You know, the person who, when there's almost a plan in place, the person who asks exactly the right question that makes everybody stop and think, is this really our best bet? And I think that question is so important, and I think there is someone in every group with the capacity to ask it, and they just need to have that brought out and valued.
It hasn't changed. I've always been this way, but as I said, it's dynamic by nature, because you have to be in touch with the needs of those lives you're entrusted with.
I think I've only sort of started thinking of myself as a leader quite recently. My leadership style shifted or maybe was born by sort of gaining the self-confidence to have faith in my own decision-making, and I have an understanding that sometimes my gut feeling of what is correct is actually correct.
I am much more aware of what my limits are in terms of my ability, in terms of my capacity. I really learned how to focus on what my strengths are so that I can be the best contributor to a cause that I can be. I now can trust that other people can be just as much a part of the process of advocating for something or leading for a cause as I do.